Hi everyone, this is our capstone video about our project, Chicago Rideshare Analysis. I'm Nora and our other group members' names are Grace and Nick. To talk about our roles in this group, Grace and I focused on the analysis of the data in R, and Nick focused on developing the R Shiny.
Rideshare apps have become a dominant form of transportation within the past decade, displacing services such as taxis. Companies like Uber and Lyft offer an innovative experience for riders that make getting to their destination easy. Because so many people rely on these services for both work and transportation every day, we thought it would be interesting to find relationships in the data and visualize them.
The goal of this project was to discover interesting relationships in our data set and also create informative visualizations to put on our final R Shiny product. We wanted to achieve this goal by addressing questions like, what factors influence how much a rider tips their driver, and how did the COVID-19 pandemic affect rideshare rides in Chicago?
The data we used for this project was a publicly available data set from the Chicago Data Portal from the years 2019 through 2021. This was official data provided by the city, with each row representing one rideshare ride. There was data reported for every day of the year, with hundreds of thousands of rides per day. All information was de-identified, and we used the columns listed below for our analysis.
So for our initial data analysis, we chose to use these three different models: logistic regression, linear regression, and anomaly detection.
Before we review the results of our model, it is important to point out the limitations that we ran into during analysis. The vast majority of people in our dataset did not tip, as you can see from this bar chart on the right. Less than 20% of our samples tipped. Second, the data spans over the years of the pandemic, which makes it extremely difficult to generalize because the trends were also different. Lastly, tips can be influenced by so many external variables that were not included in our data set, which made it hard to predict whether or not a rider would tip.
Because of the limitations we had listed on the last slide, our logistic regression failed to successfully predict tip behavior. In fact, the logistic model always predicted that the rider would not tip, as seen in this confusion matrix. This could be due to our heavily skewed data where most do not tip. In efforts to create a more informative model than this logistic regression, we tried doing an LDA-QDA analysis that Grace will talk about next.
We took a look at the subset of riders who did tip and trained both linear discriminant analysis and quadratic discriminant analysis models to see if either was better at classifying into low and high groups. Low meant they tipped below the median value, and high meant they tipped above the median value. Both LDA and QDA were more accurate than our logistic regression or simply predicting the majority class. This is evident as both ROC curves seen here fall above the no information rate curve. The LDA model had a higher accuracy overall and a much higher true positive rate than QDA. Based on this, we infer that a linear decision boundary is a better classifier of our data than a quadratic boundary.
Our linear regression results were slightly better. When analyzing the riders who did leave a tip, there was a slight correlation between the total ride cost and tip amount. The p-value seems significant, but the low R-squared value of 0.47 means that we are not explaining much variance. This could be because tip is influenced by many factors and not just total ride cost.
With our anomaly detection model, the pattern we saw consistently across the 3 years was that less rides were generally taken on major holidays, such as Christmas Day, which is seen below, and days like New Year's and Thanksgiving.
At this link, you can explore our additional analysis and visualization on our R Shiny.
Okay, so on our R Shiny, you can find several tabs which include different models we created, including the ones in this presentation. So for example, on our anomaly tab, you can see that this includes the number of rides by day, and you can actually adjust the viewing panel for a lot of the plots on our R Shiny like this. It also has the anomaly plot that shows which days were considered anomalies in the year, as well as the frame that explains why these were found to be anomalies a little bit further. We also created additional visualizations, including things like heat maps for ride hotspots and COVID cases versus daily ride count. Overall, for our analysis, it proved pretty difficult to create accurate and informative predictive models due to our lack of descriptive variables that could explain tip behavior. Something we did find out was that the pandemic had a large impact on ride trends over the years. For our overall project, we practiced analyzing real-life big data in R, as well as full stack development with the R Shiny.